Hello, hockey fans. The Minnesota Hockey Connection is on the air. We're on the air for the next half hour. I'm Kenny Gallagher, along with Jerry Burrow. And today, Jerry, we have a special guest, head hockey coach Brendan Flaherty of the, I almost said Cathedral Hilltoppers.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. I'm hanging out with the old timer from Cathedral.
Some people still see it as Cathedral.
Yeah. Brendan, head hockey coach up at Duluth Marshall. What number year is this for you coaching up at Marshall?
21, I think, at Marshall.
21. How many years at Central?
I was 2 at Central.
And you went to state, one of them.
We went to state that year, one of our fondest memories. Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
You know, I want to talk about that. I'm a Central alum, and there were some kids on there I knew. Lasky, there were some others.
Mikey Farrell. Yeah.
Who's your goalie?
Zimski was a goalie. Really good goalie.
Sure. Did that come together? How much credit do you take for that? The success of that
All
team?
of it.
Okay, sure.
Actually, none of it. We had one of the toughest groups of hockey players that I've ever coached. You know, in all these years, I look back, and you have to have a tough group of kids to do something like that, and we were. And we had good goaltending. We had a couple scores. We had just enough talent, and I remember we had to win 4 games back then to get to state. And, we had a sub-500 year, I think, but we were still formidable. But our first game, we went up to International Falls, and they were defending state champions.
Oh, my.
And we went into their building, and we beat them 6-2.
Jeez.
Yeah, and it was a packed house in Bronco Arena. And it was a snowstorm, and we came back on the bus, and my daughter was born the night before, I believe. Or this was the second game. We had beat Silver Bay in the first one, and then my daughter was born the next day, and then we went up to the Falls. It's quite a story. I'm telling you that
Really?
We were the lowest seed, one of the lowest seeds, and then we just kind of caught fire and went on to state after that.
Yeah.
Really.
What happened at state? What do you recall?
We played Johnny Pole in the first round. Red Wing, and Red Wing was hot then. We lost 3-1, I think. But then we came back, and I don't know, we might have won the consolation, or we won another game, and it was just it was really a Cinderella story. Like I haven't seen a lower seed since.
Yeah.
Do what we did that year.
Well, back in the first year when they had Tier 1, Tier 2, Rosemont came in there with only 3 victories. They got to the championship game.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That's true, too, yeah. That was a funky format, though, wasn't it? Yeah. So, that was, still have great memories about that. You were a Trojan?
I sure was.
Okay.
Class of 75. We didn't have very good hockey teams back then. There were some good hockey players. Mm-hmm. Nate Berglund, Randy Scholand. There were some Laskies.
There were some good players to come out of Central. Yeah.
There was. Again, a lot of good players. They just couldn't seem to come together and do well as a team. But Tommy Doig.
Yeah.
Did you know Tom Doig?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the 2-class system?
I think it's good. I think it's good for opportunity. It presents more opportunities for more kids, and I think that's what it's about in the end, isn't it? So I think there needs to be some revisions to it, but overall I think it provides more opportunities. That's a good thing.
Right.
So revisions, anything in particular?
I don't want to get into that too much,
okay.
But I just think there's some programs that need to be evaluated and move to a different, either up or down, or whatever. It interferes with the overall objective, I think, of 2-class hockey.
Well, we're in the month of November. November's hockey month. High school hockey will start here soon. We've got the Jamboree that starts Tuesday, November 22nd.
That's right. Yeah.
And practice starts next Monday on the 14th, and all the schools, that's their first day of practice, and some teams are waiting to see if some of their players come back from the juniors.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
I'm kind of curious, as a coach, you're not too worried about your equipment. Your equipment consists pretty much of a whistle and skates.
Yeah.
But does the coach have to, how concerned are you with your skates? How long have you had that set of skates?
The older I get, more and more every year, and pucks flying by my head. Might actually do the helmet one of these years.
Oh, okay.
It probably would be wise.
Yeah.
I think the State High School League tried to do that, didn't they? Where in practice they're supposed to make the coaches wear helmets, and then it didn't go over? Or?
It's going to happen someday, Jerry.
Yeah.
I believe
one
it's
injury.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to come to that, and but anyways, yeah, just try and stay out of the way sometimes and not get run over.
How impressed are you by these kids and the skill level? I was watching 14-year-old girls, a month or so ago down at the Amsoil Arena. They had their little tournament. And I was impressed with the skill level of these 14-year-olds. And for you, they're a little older, these boys, but...
I think the skill level has improved so much over the years, and the speed of the game and the strength of the kids.
The training's different.
Yeah, the modern hockey player now in high school even is just... some of these kids are really good athletes, and they take care of their bodies, and they get strong, and it's a pretty good product, I think.
So what do you think is the big difference then? If all these kids have all these skills, is it the heart, the competition, the smartness?
Yeah,
you think that makes a player that moves on?
I think in the end, if you want to move on, you need two things. You have to have it in the first place, and secondly, it's got to be in here. They're just. There's nowhere to hide inside a rink that's 200 by 85, and you have got to have it in here if you want to move on. It's ultimately up to the individual, the kid.
Right. Well, these high school kids, can you tell if someone really has it right away right there and in the?
Yeah, and some of these, I think you can get a pretty good indication on some of these kids in Pee-wees and Bantams.
Was Jack Connolly one of those kids?
Oh, Jack was one of those players.
How about Robbie Bordson?
Some of these kids, Judd Peterson, some of the kids that have come through, you could tell when they're Bantams, that they're special
really that
players.
early, huh?
Yeah,
oh.
yeah. No
but sometimes the maturity of some of these kids are.
It doesn't always work for some of the kids.
Right.
You could peg a kid as a definite, Division I or as a 8th or 9th grader, and that just doesn't pan out for whatever reason.
Right.
Maybe they didn't have it in here or whatever it takes, So, but the kids we mentioned earlier, they certainly did.
So you've been on both sides of the block, Class A for many years, and now just last year you moved up to Double A. How is Marshall taking that? Are they liking it? Are you liking it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think we're in this society now where you want results right away, and I certainly knew going in it wasn't going to happen overnight. And we had a good year last year. We were just ravaged with injuries, just brutal, the worst year ever. And here it is, our first year going into Double A, so it just had some bad luck and lost a really, really good senior captain defenseman before our season even started. He was out with a knee injury. So, and then other ineligibilities and kids out with injuries. So we never really got traction early on. And then, we had that big game with the East at the Amsoil. Big for us. At least it was.
Nice win.
Yeah, it really was. And, we don't have that opportunity if we stay in single A.
Right.
So we figured that it was something we wanted to do, and we're gonna go after it again this year.
You got a tough schedule.
Really do. That's part of it too. And we were playing a lot of these teams when we were single A too.
Right.
But we open with Proctor at home, and then from there it's at Benilde, at Minnetonka, and at Hermantown. So we run the gauntlet really early, and we win a couple or a few of those games. Boy, I think it'd be a good sign for us, and it'd give us that traction going into the season.
So, playing this, you're in Double A, and you're playing more of the 7AA teams now. Do you see a big difference in playing all these teams in 7AA than your old schedule?
Well, yeah,
because you played a lot of good private schools too.
Yeah, and not taking anything away from the smaller single A programs, 7A single A programs in an Eveleth, or it just a little different playing in Andover, and a Grand Rapids, and some of these teams that are in 7AA East, Grand Rapids. It's just it's different. It's these teams that we're playing now have way more depth, and more kids. They'll have 3, 4, 5 kids that are really talented stud hockey players.
Looks like you got Cloquet twice in the month of January.
Yeah, we played Cloquet twice last year, and it also cuts down on travel. We thought something to play and it makes sense. So
It's possible you can play them 3 times.
it is possible.
Because you got your holiday tournament.
It's
the
conceivable
Hilltopper.
4 times actually if we see them. We played them 3 times last year.
Oh, that's right.
In the
Playoffs.
playoffs, so it could
Right.
be 4, but it's something we might want to look at. I'd have to talk with Dave about that. If an opportunity comes up to play another 7AA like Elk River in our section,
Right.
I think there's somebody else in there we're trying to get to that would make sense, and then we
Probably work something out.
we'd probably work something out with Cloquet.
Right.
So you do have your Hilltopper Holiday Classic coming up December 27th, 29th. Did you move that? Did that used to be around Thanksgiving at one time?
No.
It's always been Christmas week and New Year's.
We have done some things over Thanksgiving in
Yeah.
the past, so. But this is a quality tournament. You
Right.
got the Schwans, and then I know there's a really good tournament at Benilde has a really good
Yeah.
one that they hosted.
It used to be called the Sports Authority Tournament, and I don't know who's
They have
sponsoring
some
it
quality
now.
teams, but boy, this is a really, really solid tournament here. Delano is probably one of the best teams they've ever had
Right.
this year, and Cloquet, Hermantown, of course, Bemidji. St. Francis, Roseville, Brainerd's going to be good, and ourselves. So, it's I got a call from a college or a professional scout the other day asking for the schedule for the tournament.
Nice,
So
nice.
already, it's
Right.
it's going to be heavily scouted, I feel, and well attended.
Better watch out. At Brainerd, the opening night, Brainerd and Duluth Marshall, breaking news. Did you hear what happened to Brainerd?
No.
They hired Sarsland, Tony.
Oh, really?
Yes, assistant coach.
Okay. Cowboy boots.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I didn't realize that.
you got to be on top of your game. You know Tony. He's going to be yelling at those kids.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he was a great coach for hockey. He's just an old school, coach. And
David Oss is a great guy. He's a good
Yep.
coach and a great
Right.
guy. And they have don't they have 4 brothers on that team?
yeah, I know there's 3 triplets, and I
Okay.
think there is one more.
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
have 4 in the program.
Right.
My
there.
goodness.
Yeah,
I
and they're
think the
good too.
triplets are
Yeah,
only.
wow.
I think
Yeah.
the triplets are only 10th graders.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so the other brother, I think, is a senior.
They were up this
Yeah.
summer. I saw them play. And
Right.
They're good. Good hockey.
Head coach Brendan Marshall,
Brendan Flaherty from Marshall.
Brendan Flaherty, Marshall Hilltoppers. Thank you. Say, I'm sorry, I can't think of his name, but you had somebody that worked in your program for a long time who passed away here fairly recently.
Yeah, Jimmy Cake, and we had a really nice tribute for Jimmy over the summer, and a lot of people showed up at the arena, and we had a ceremony right on the ice there for him, and people were in the bleachers, and we had a nice dinner after in our Lakeview room, and he's going to be really missed. Think about him a lot starting here. He was with us for over 15 years, I think, and he went through some hardship there with his health, and he just loved the game and loved being around the rink. And
It's those kind of guys that you can depend on, those kind of individuals.
yeah, and it was Jimmy.
Yeah.
And all our guys, the Conleys and Bordson, and these guys. A lot of these guys were at the service at
Oh,
the
nice.
arena.
Yeah. Good.
And
Well, that says a lot because they got to break away from their schedule to.
Yeah.
And Connolly's over in Europe,
Sweden.
correct?
yeah,
Sweden.
Yeah. So it was a cool event. We opened on we're retiring Jimmy Cake's jersey. We haven't retired anyone's jersey there, but we're going to retire Jimmy's.
Oh, that's fitting.
How did it
Great.
get started with Jimmy helping you guys?
A friend of mine, Scott Pionk, has always known Jimmy through growing up, in the Proctor area, Twig area, and he had helped Scott, and then Scott joined our staff many years ago, and so Jimmy got started through that, and it just continued with Jimmy, and he had a love for Denver University, the Pioneers,
Right.
and George Gwozdecki was really good to Jimmy, and Jimmy would always be on the bench at the old deck, with Denver.
Right.
And, taking care of the sticks in the water and whatnot. And
That's fun. I'm glad you brought that up because I would see Jimmy at Mars Lakeview, and I remember seeing him behind the bench when I guess I didn't put it together about it being Denver.
Yeah.
I thought, well, wait, what's going on here? Is this guy traveling or?
Yep. No.
How did that come about? This thing with Denver? Do you know?
There was a story behind that where they were in town for a national game. I think it was a national title game at the Deck, and they invited Jimmy into their locker room after, and they loved Jimmy, and I think Denver had won it that year, possibly. It was a Final Four at the Deck many years ago, and so from that time on, it just kind of grew, and they invited Jimmy back every year they were in town, but what a great guy. And he's going to be missed. And anyways, the 29th we open at home, and we're going to retire his jersey and do a little ceremony.
29th of November.
Yeah, somebody's going to drop the puck,
Okay.
it just we want his legacy to carry on for years.
That's awesome. That's great. There's a hockey game tonight up at Mars, College of St. Scholastica. Now we're taping on Monday. Tuesday, there's a game up there. Scholastica will play
River Falls.
River Falls, yeah.
We have a former topper that plays on River Falls and St. Scholastica.
Who's that?
The McKenzie boy, Chris McKenzie's on St.
Yeah.
Scholastica, and Ryan Gutler is on River Falls.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, Lake Forest comes to town. Scholastica will host Lake Forest, so that season has begun. And I talked to Coach Mark Wick, and I asked him, I said, what was the deal with these East boys going down to Stout? And I said, is this off the record? He goes, no, you can talk about it. And he tried to recruit the 3 players.
Okay. I was talking to someone about that. Why don't St. Scholastica and UWS
Who were the players
get these
again, Jer?
It's Jackie Forbert, Alex Toscano, and Connor Velasano.
Okay, they all went to Stout.
All forwards.
Wouldn't that have been something if Scholastica could have pulled that off? And
I think they would have got an extra 50, 100 people every game.
it would have been good for the boys too. You
local
think?
boys.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So
maybe some year we can get those kids to.
Well, you got one of your former players coaching on ladies Bulldogs team now.
Chris is.
How did that ever come about?
I don't know. I don't know. He'd worked some camps years ago. Chris was playing in Europe. And,
Chris Connolly.
Yeah, and he'd come back in the summer, and I had him on the ice a few times, and he was just a natural. I could just tell he had it for instructing kids, and working just the finer points of the game and getting his message across. And I just could tell that this guy can coach. You know? And sure enough, he lands this job. The year after he finished his career in Germany, I believe it was, and so now he's on their staff, which is cool. He's married, and I think he has kids now.
Wow. Yeah, and the Lady Bulldogs are 3rd in the nation.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the men aren't doing too bad. Back-to-back sweeps.
Yeah.
Wow, are they
number
good.
1 in the nation.
Did you watch the games, or did
I
you
went
go
down
down there?
Friday. I went down to watch Judd, and they're just UMD just look really, really good and impressive. Both nights they were behind, and going into
for
the
coming
third
back.
And,
on both nights.
Yeah, and
Even Mark Parrish, a former NHL player, analyst with Fox Sports during that St. Cloud broadcast, made the comment. He said, for this team to be able to come from behind and play like they do in the third period, he was very impressed with that ability, that they have that.
they had a lot of kids that decided to come back for their senior
Right.
year, wasn't it, Tom?
That- yep.
I mean, that was huge when they didn't.
Iafallo.
Those kids decided to stay.
Susie.
Yeah, that's great.
Susie's starting to look more and more like a pro player
Fine.
this season. Of
Right.
course, Minnesota Wild product or draft pick. And so, the UMD Bulldogs, where are they at this weekend, Jer?
They're home with Western Michigan on
okay.
Friday and Saturday night.
Okay.
So Western Michigan is ranked in the top, I think they're 15 right now. Mm-hmm. I think it's pairwise. They're 15.
I've said this over and over here and on the radio, but when I went to that Bulldog under 18 game and the Bulldogs lost 2-1, they gave up a shorthanded goal. I don't know if they got outshot, but they just didn't play well. And I thought, my goodness, North Dakota's going to come in here and smoke these guys, and it didn't happen. Coach, what what's missing from what I was seeing with these under 18s? Was the coach holding some players back?
Geez, I don't know. All I know is it's
How do you-
hard to
how do you
maintain
lose- how do you
up
lose
here
to an
every
under-
single
yeah.
game. It just
Is it?
And maybe it didn't have the same. That game maybe just didn't have the same magnitude as a game against North Dakota or St. Cloud. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's part of it. But I know it's hard to maintain that.
Right. Well, they have a target now because they're number one,
Yeah,
and
that
they're
too.
not going to go
Yeah.
through this whole season playing the way they have the last 4 games. I mean, they're going to have.
No,
looked down
you're
there.
jinxing them
No,
there, Jer.
They'll be all right, but I just don't want them to play St. Cloud when it comes to tournament time, because that's a young team.
Well,
and
they are
got some
very young.
them
yeah.
Palings, and I mean, they got some studs on that team. I think.
What a-
You know, and for UMD to do this with a Hunter Miska, who's a freshman, their other goalie, their other Hunter, also a freshman, Hunter
Grand
Shepard,
Rapids.
and then Deary, I think, is just a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he's a redshirt freshman,
Oh my!
Yeah.
Okay.
so they're really all 3 are freshmen.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, they're
right.
going to be very impressive this year.
So, what do you got for goaltenders this season?
We're looking at, we lost 2 seniors last year that carried the load mostly for us, and we have an entering junior here that played JV the last 2 years that's pretty good, I think, and you know, he's going to be tested early. It's Cameron Brandt is his name. And then we have a kid that came out of Bantams. He was on the Duluth Bantam AA team last year,
Okay.
Alex Busick, and the kid's about 6'5". You know, and he just takes up 6'4". Looks like Dubnik. He just takes up so much of the net. So he's going to be competing for time, and he looked pretty good over the summer. So we think we're going to have a healthy competition there, and important position, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So we think either one of those kids is capable of emerging there. Yeah.
And you got a couple Stauber
Yeah.
players, one defenseman and one
Yeah,
forward.
Willie's he's gotten really big, strong, great kids. These kids work really hard, the Staubers, and Willie's on D, and then we have Levi up at forward, and he's just a tremendous skater with a real heavy, quick shot. You know, and
Right.
his kids
Nice shot.
worked at it. They both shot. Between their freshman and sophomore year, they both shot over 10,000 pucks, 13,000 pucks
Wow.
in the summer, and they did. you
Are they
know.
brothers?
They're cousins.
Cousins. Okay.
Yeah. And, come from the hockey family, but they're hard workers and great kids, too.
Yeah.
They're juniors. We're still very young.
Yeah,
We only
okay.
have probably 3 seniors that are going to crack our lineup this year.
I'm going to tell you something. You got Cloquet, East, and you guys. You're all young,
Yeah.
very young. I mean, Cloquet. I talked to Essie, and he said there's going to be 10 Bantams coming on the team.
Yeah.
And so and that was a good Bantam teams they were on.
Yeah. No, it's, I guess Grand Rapids would be the veteran team, wouldn't they, Jerry?
Right.
With a lot of seniors.
Lot of
I think.
seniors.
Yep. But aside from that, I think you're right. I know we're very young, and I know Cloquet is very young, and but we do have a lot of kids. We played a lot of freshmen last year that played varsity hockey.
Little experience now.
Yeah, with all the
Yeah.
injuries, they were forced to play. So we have more experience. We have kids with experience, which they played a tough schedule last year in AA hockey. So we have high expectations.
Well, and you're a private school. You have a little unique challenge there to some degree. What are the numbers like?
I think we have about 35 kids out this year, 35, 36, something like that. So
Is that where you want to be? Is that a good number to be?
I'd like to have 50 out, but
50, sure. Yeah. Has that happened?
no,
Oh.
I don't think we've ever had those kind
I
of
don't
numbers.
think anyone in the city
Not
had
anymore.
50 in
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there was, but no. So, anyways, yeah, it's we're pretty satisfied with what we're looking at this year, I think. And our kids that were freshmen, sophomores last year are now sophomores and juniors, basically, with a couple of pretty good seniors as well. This little Schold kid is a good hockey player. We have high expectations. We think that he's gonna kind of break out this year. Not real big, but he's a good hockey player. And then we have a senior defenseman, Joe Liberty. Yeah, and he's a kind of steady Eddie back there, and a good kid, and we think he's going to be a good leader. We had a transfer that came in too. That's a good hockey player, Jerry, the Granis boy that was at Orono, and he came up and lives with his dad, and turns out to be a very good hockey player. So we'll see. I tell you, I'm looking at the schedule here. If we can knock a few of those big teams off there early, I know that would get us going into our season.
And you have another freshman that was a pretty good player on the Bantam team last year for Duluth East, another Crimson.
Yeah, he's a really good young player.
Right,
He's
get him some time and
get
some experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some Staubers, some Crenzens. Any Flahertys still?
No.
You got to get busy.
Yeah, no, that's those days are gone.
Okay.
Hey, your stepson used to coach Orono.
Yeah.
So what is he doing? Is he coaching anymore? Or
No,
anything?
he's a little turned off by the whole thing, Jerry, to be honest.
Right. The parents
not
kind of pushed
good,
him out, right?
Yeah, they've pushed everyone out of Orono.
Yeah, that's too bad.
And, not a good he took him to state and section coach of the year, and the next year they ran him out. So, and just absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, didn't satisfy some of the right people that expected with, a very affluent community there, and
Just tell him to come back home and help you guys out.
Yeah, he's got a family started down in White Bear Lake, and he's pretty happy.
Okay.
And,
Who do you have helping out? Who are the assistants with you this season?
we got Dale Jagos back.
Okay.
Dale does a
Good.
great job, and
He knows the game.
and Billy Owens is back for a
Right.
second year with the forwards. Dale's working with the D. We have a lot of fun.
Good,
we
good.
really have a lot of fun. Then we have Justin Hanna and Steve Root in the JV. And we got a goalie coach that's going to be joining us this year too. That does a nice job. So
Jimmy Watt is done.
Jimmy's no longer the Watts. We canned him. We got no. Jimmy and Jason. Jason's busy with Daha now, so that didn't work. And then Jimmy just was couldn't manage it anymore.
Do you still have the stand-up? I can't say Zamboni driver because you don't have a Zamboni. You
Terry.
have the stand-up
Olympia driver.
Olympia driver.
Yeah, Terry Hennenkamp. Yeah, he's famous.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Well, that's good. Well, Coach, this was fun. The season just about to get started. We're going to have the Jamboree, the high school boys Jamboree, on November 22nd. The girls Jamboree, when is that? That starts, that was last Friday.
Yeah.
Friday the 4th. So
And
high
they're
school
already
hockey's
playing.
here, folks.
Yeah.
And we look forward to the start of Marshall season, what is it, November 29th?
Yeah, that's
Right.
the opener.
You'll play Proctor.
Yeah, December 22nd. Don't forget about that one.
Yeah, Duluth East up at Mars.
Yeah,
Get your tickets early. Are you going to pre-sell tickets?
I don't know what we're going to do on that.
That's going to be sold out no matter what.
We should charge more. is
There
what
you
we
go.
should-
Pay for that ice time.
That's going to be a big one.
You still have Caribou Coffee at the arena?
We do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Coach Brendan Flaherty, thank you.
Thanks, Kenny.
Head coach
Pleasure.
at
Thank you, Brendan.
Thanks,
Duluth
Jerry.
Marshall.
Yep. Thanks for what you guys do here.
Yeah, you bet. Minnesota Hockey Connection, you can find us online. Look for us on Facebook and like us there. We want to thank the staff at PACT-TV, Public Access Television, downtown Duluth, that produced this show. And with that, Jared, we'll be back here next week to drop the puck.
Great. And next week, high school practices start on the 14th.
We'll see you then.